The fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 marked a turning point in history. It seemed to signal the triumph of capitalism over communism. Marxism, many believed, was relegated to the dustbin of history. This notion of capitalism's ultimate victory, however, proved premature. The 2008 global financial crisis shook the world. It exposed the inherent instability and inequality embedded within capitalist systems. This crisis sparked a renewed interest in Marxist critiques of capitalism. People began to question the supposed infallibility of free markets. Marx's ideas, once dismissed as outdated, gained new relevance. His analysis of capitalism's contradictions resonated with a new generation. They saw in his work a framework for understanding the crisis unfolding around them. The resurgence of interest in Marxism, however, extends beyond academic circles. From Occupy Wall Street to anti-austerity protests in Europe, Marxist ideas are finding new life in social movements worldwide. These movements reflect a growing awareness of capitalism's systemic problems. Marx argued that capitalism is inherently prone to crises. He pointed to the inherent contradiction between capital's drive for profit and labor's need for a living wage. This contradiction, he argued, fuels economic instability and social unrest. Capitalism's relentless pursuit of profit leads to a concentration of wealth in the hands of a few. This concentration of wealth exacerbates inequality. It creates a system where the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Moreover, capitalism tends to shift risks onto the most vulnerable members of society. The 2008 financial crisis illustrated this tendency. Banks, driven by profit, engaged in reckless lending practices. When these practices led to a collapse, taxpayers were left to bail out the financial institutions. Ordinary people bore the brunt of the crisis. Marx's analysis of capitalism's internal contradictions provides a powerful lens through which to understand the challenges confronting the global economy today. His work highlights the inherent instability and inequality that are endemic to the system. The Naxalite movement in India is a stark example of resistance against capitalist exploitation and state oppression. Emerging in 1967 in West Bengal, the Naxalites fight for land rights, social justice, and self-determination. Inspired by China's communist revolution, they saw Mao Zedong's teachings as a blueprint. The movement spread, attracting landless farmers, tribal communities, and lower caste groups. Using guerrilla tactics, they targeted landlords and government officials. Their struggle has faced brutal repression from the Indian state, yet the Naxalite movement persists, highlighting deep-seated grievances of marginalized communities. The Greek economic crisis, which erupted in 2008, exposed the dark underbelly of global capitalism. Greece, once hailed as a model of economic progress, became a cautionary tale of debt, austerity, and social unrest. The crisis revealed the limits of neoliberal policies and the immense power of global financial institutions. Greece's economic woes stemmed from a confluence of factors. Years of overspending, coupled with lax financial regulations and a culture of tax evasion, created a perfect storm. When the global financial crisis struck, Greece was ill-equipped to weather the storm. The Troika, the European Commission, the European Central Bank, and the International Monetary Fund stepped in with a bailout package. This bailout, however, came at a steep price. Greece was forced to implement harsh austerity measures in exchange for financial assistance. These austerity measures included deep cuts to public spending, wages, and pensions. They resulted in widespread unemployment, poverty, and social unrest. Greece became a testing ground for neoliberal shock therapy, with disastrous consequences for its people. Section 5. Navigating the currents of global capitalism. The Greek experience highlights the challenges faced by nation-states operating within the constraints of global capitalism. Greece, despite its democratic traditions, found itself beholden to the dictates of international financial institutions. Its sovereignty was compromised as it was forced to implement policies that ran counter to the interests of its citizens. The rise of Syriza, a left-wing party in Greece, reflected the popular anger against austerity. Syriza promised to renegotiate the terms of the bailout and alleviate the suffering of the Greek people. Its electoral victory in 2015 raised hopes for an alternative to the neoliberal orthodoxy. Syriza, however, faced immense pressure from its European creditors. It was caught between its campaign promises and the realities of global finance. In the end, Syriza was forced to make concessions, accepting a bailout deal that differed little from the one it had initially opposed. The Greek experience underscores the difficulty of charting an independent course in a globalized world. It reveals the enduring power of capital to shape political and economic outcomes even in democratic societies. Section 6. The Persistence of Resistance, Echoes of Marx in the Modern World. Despite the challenges, resistance to capitalism's excesses persists. From the streets of Athens to the villages of India, people are rising up against inequality, exploitation, and environmental degradation. These movements, while diverse in their aims and tactics, draw inspiration from Marx's analysis of capitalism's inherent contradictions. The Occupy Wall Street movement, which began in 2011, captured the world's attention with its slogan, "We are the 99%. The movement highlighted the growing gap between the super-rich and everyone else. It challenged the political and economic system that allowed such disparities to exist. The movement, though short-lived, inspired similar protests around the world. It demonstrated the power of collective action to challenge the status quo. It also brought issues of economic inequality and social justice to the forefront of public debate. Marx's ideas continue to resonate with those seeking to understand and challenge the injustices of the global capitalist system. His work provides a framework for analyzing power, inequality, and the dynamics of social change. Section 7. Demystifying Marx's key concepts for understanding capitalism. Marx's writings can be dense and complex. However, at their core, lie several key concepts essential for understanding his critique of capitalism. One key concept is the materialist conception of history, positing economic forces as primary drivers of historical change. Another is class struggle, dividing society into classes based on their relationship to the means of production. Under capitalism, the bourgeoisie and proletariat are locked in a constant struggle over resources and power. Finally, Marx introduced the concept of base and superstructure, where the economic base shapes the superstructure. These concepts provide a framework for understanding capitalism and its inherent contradictions. Section 8. The enduring legacy of Marx from Lenin to Wallerstein. Marx's ideas have had a profound impact on intellectual and political movements worldwide. His work laid the groundwork for various revolutionary movements as well as academic disciplines such as sociology, economics, and political science. Vladimir Lenin, the leader of the Bolshevik Revolution, adapted Marx's ideas to the context of Russia in the early 20th century. Lenin's theory of imperialism, which argued that capitalism's inherent contradictions drive it toward global expansion and conflict, became highly influential among anti-colonial movements. Later, thinkers like Emanuel Wallerstein built upon Marx's work to develop world systems theory. This theory analyzes the global capitalist system as a hierarchical structure, with core, periphery, and semi-periphery countries. It highlights the unequal exchange between these regions and the persistence of global inequality. Marx's legacy extends beyond these specific thinkers and theories. His work continues to inspire critical analyses of capitalism, globalization, and social inequality. From labor unions fighting for workers' rights to environmental activists challenging the destruction of the planet, Marx's ideas remain relevant for understanding and addressing the challenges of our time. Section 9. The Spectre Returns. Marxism's Relevance in a Turbulent World. In a world grappling with climate change, economic inequality, and political polarization, Marx's ideas have re-emerged with renewed urgency. His analysis of capitalism's contradictions provides a powerful lens to understand the crises confronting humanity. Climate change can be seen as a consequence of capitalism's relentless drive for profit. The widening gap between the rich and the poor reflects capitalism's tendency to concentrate wealth. Marx's analysis of class struggle remains relevant for understanding economic inequality. Marxism is a living body of thought that continues to evolve and adapt. The specter of Marx has returned to haunt the world. His ideas are being revisited by a new generation seeking to make sense of a world in crisis.